Welcome to another episode of the Sunday morning mass hour, where we talk about all things Jesus. No. I mean, I'd love to talk about Jesus. You want to bring up Jesus? Make some points about how Jesus is real or anything like that. I'm all for it. I want to hear it. I want to hear what you have to say. Oh, yeah. It's a good tea. It's a good tea. It's a goodie. So, let's do this real quick. Sorry about that. Is it not going to let me? Oh, it's not going to let me come back. What the fuck? Okay, there we go. There we go. We all back, ladies and gentlemen. We all back. So I'll go. Shared this thing with me today. And it was this, another talking head guy like me talking about Israel and how he had, Elon Musk had posted some pretty Zionist propaganda-esque kind of things, and he commented on it, and Elon said, "What do you mean?" So he wrote this diatribe about everything that has to do with this situation. And he starts off by saying, first of all, I want to say this isn't a condemnation of the Jays and the da-da-da-da-da. Not all Jay people are this. That's a straw man argument, he says. And I vehemently disagree. I am so tired of everybody being so programmed scared of the Jays that they won't even talk about them. Come on, let's go. Okay. I mean, it's like people love talking about Israel. Like Israel isn't the J state. Like Israel isn't 100% J. And you hear these lies about how Israelis and Jays, Christians and Muslims lived peacefully side by side prior to the establishment of Israel. And maybe there's that's kind of true in that the Jays didn't have the numbers to be able to accomplish what they wanted to. But the Haganah, or whatever you want to say, that was Israel before Israel. And they were committing all sorts of war crimes, one of which is Operation Cast Thy Bread. And I can't stress this enough, that, you should, because you've been programmed not to talk about these people like this, and you've been programmed to immediately respond to people with, "Oh, that's a conspiracy theory. That's just a conspiracy theory. You're a conspiracy theorist. You just hate Israel. That's anti-Semitism." And again, it comes down to the wording and how we are attacked and controlled through simple words. Calling you anti-Semitic is generally, that's probably a wrong statement. You're actually wrong saying that. People being accused of when they're accused of being anti-Semitic, they're the accusation is that they're actually anti-J. But because they won't say anti-J, they come up with, who else has their own words? What's the word for anti-Christian? Do you know of an anti-Christian word? And the thing is, Semitism is something, again, we should all be proud of. Or anti-Semitism is something we should be proud of. Because Semitism is supremacy. By definition, it's policy, which is the rules and regulations, government, and policy or predisposition, which means how you go into it, how you look at everything you're given. If you're given if you're told you're going to go see a Friday the 13th movie, your predisposition is that it's going to be a scary movie. You're hoping to be scared by the movie. So you go into it with a I want to be scared predisposition. When it's policy and predisposition, come on, favorable to the Jays, okay, you go ahead. Then you understand, like, not only are the rules favorable to them, let's go, man, come on. It ain't weird, dog. Cold outside. Like, just think about what you're being told. Policy or predisposition favorable to the Jays. Who wrote that? Who decided that? But everybody talks about, like, well, I know a couple of Jays who really don't like Israel. Yeah, but they still call you a goyim. Like, this is... They've really brilliantly insulated themselves with the wording. There's literally... like, this whole idea of not assigning blame or focusing on an entire group. Well, that group is bad. I don't care if you belong to NAMBLA because they have good policy regarding water purification or whatever it may be. If the vast majority of the people are involved in man-boy love, and you're like, yeah, I'm part of this group, you're fucking supporting it. You support it. And anything you don't go after, you support. There is no two-state solution. That's fucking ridiculous. And the fact is, everybody's been tricked into accommodating a cult. This is a cult. This is a very, very evil, disgusting cult. They do horrible things. They do horrible things to each other, let alone what they do to us. And you've all been tricked into thinking that you have to accommodate this. We are not supposed to accommodate Wahhabi Islam. Those people chop up little girls. Those people, they chop up little girl vaginas. Those people kill gay people. Those people oppress women in every way possible. And we don't go, yeah, that's great. That's great. Let's support them. But, and I plan on playing that video when my wife gets back home from getting her coffee. But, like, that dude makes a lot of really good points. And it's interesting because it's like, everything he says that is, like, factual, like, there's backing for it, right? And that's all the but then when he says, but it's not about the Jays, then we go into opinions. And there's no factual basis to support that. At the end of the day, you could say that, oh, well, that Jay doesn't support Israel. Okay, but they're still a Jay, right? They still believe themselves to be God's chosen people, and the rest of us are here to service them, correct? Like it's really disgusting. It's really disgusting. And then when you hear about the whole thing with Israel, it's like, it's kind of like Hollywood, right? Israel is the new Hollywood, where we say things like, oh, Hollywood used to be so racist. Well, Hollywood is just the place. It's just the invisible house, the invisible borders set in place, right? Same thing with Israel. Israel is just the invisible house, the place. And instead of it us acknowledging like it's not, it's the average Jay that put Netanyahu and Bezalel Smotrich and Itmar Ben-Gvir and Avi Moaz and all the rest of this coalition in charge. Overwhelmingly voted them in. It's the average Israeli Jay that for all of 2023, up until October 7th, had protests every single Saturday because the executive branch and the judicial branch supposedly weren't playing nice together. And they all used this as the opportunity to in protest. They weren't going to fight if there was any sort of like conflict that just popped up for any sort of strange reason, just in case. There hadn't been anything for quite some time, but let's just say in the next few months, something were to pop up. Well, we refuse to fight. That was how the Jays showed their disgust. And it wasn't because, 2023 was setting up to be the most deadly year for the Palestinians so far. They had killed 200, it's either 243 or 273, I can't remember. Israel had killed 273 people already that year. Taken thousands hostage already that year. There was no, it was set up to be the most deadly year ever. And the people weren't protesting that. Leave the Palestinians alone. They deserve rights to yada, yada, yada. Yep, no one's listening. Just 26 right now, 30 something, and then usually there's thousands and thousands of views, but hey, no one's listening. The thing is I'm planting seeds. Anybody that comes to my feed, watches my feed, they will not see the world the same way afterward. This is the kind of feed that changes you for the rest of your life. Because prior to this feed, you didn't know it was okay that you said these things. I'm sure a lot of you felt these things or saw these things or thought about these things. I'm sure a lot of you wonder, why the fuck are we giving Israel $3.8 billion a year when they're a first world country and they just murder people and we need it? Our tax dollars get sent over there. $3.8 billion a year. Well over $18 billion has been sent there since October 2023. This is Israel is the straw man argument. Blaming things on a place that doesn't actually exist. Instead of putting the blame on the people, you're putting the blame on a place. And it's fucking crazy, right? Like, how can you be that stupid? It's not McDonald's fault for selling you shitty stuff. It's your dumbass fault for thinking you can go get a fucking double cheeseburger for $1 something. You can't do that at home. You can't buy enough product so that when you made a double cheeseburger, it would only cost with two patties, 2 slices of cheese, pickles, onions, mustard, ketchup, and a bun, you couldn't keep that under $2 if you wanted to. I love when people, this man has literally nothing else to do with his life, says the people watching me, you are watching me, right? You are sitting in your fucking nothing with no one around you because you're lonely and you're watching me. At least I'm doing something. At least I'm speaking out. At least I'm not some dumbass sheep who just, yeah, Israel has the right to defend itself. Israel has the right to defend itself. Wow, you're really stupid. Thank you for acknowledging. When this guy says, what does McDonald's have to do with what you're talking about? He doesn't understand analogies. So it's like right there, you've just proven why there's no need to talk to you anymore. You're very, very stupid, and we're just not on the same level. And I appreciate it. I absolutely appreciate it. You know, when you show me that I'm wasting my time, I'm not going to be the one. Like, I'm not like you, right? I'm not the type that goes, this person doesn't like me, so I'm going to stick around. If you don't like me, I don't need to be anywhere near you. You know, it's just weird to me. All these people that don't like me, but they're here every day. Okay, buddy. Bro is talking to himself. Sure, that's what I'm doing. So Matt can't make any arguments on his own. I tried, but your ego blinds you and closes your mind. Yep, overly judgment. You haven't tried shit. How come you can always tell me about how you've tried, but then there's never any of those examples of you trying? My ego, huh? Yeah, my ego is so big. Because I know things. I know how things work, and I understand the way the world works. That means you have a big ego. How come when I said something, you didn't just go, yeah, okay, you're right? Because you're not right. Oh, shit, she's home. So let's do that real quick, like. Because, again, I do appreciate what the guy said, right? The guy does say a lot of factual shit, but it's really interesting how it works, right? How the factual stuff absolutely tells you that it's a J conspiracy. Can I use your phone for a second? Yeah, Broly didn't want to come in 85 times. So you can let Broly in. All right, here we go. This is really good.
But Elon posted some super Israel Zionist. So this might have been a bad idea, but Elon posted some super Israel Zionist propaganda, and I responded, for being so smart, you're exceptionally bad at understanding this one issue. It's kind of weird. And I got a lot of likes on that post.
Now, don't get it wrong. This guy is a fucking idiot Trump supporter, right? At some point, he says that our country is being overrun by immigrants. It's not. Notice how we weren't being overrun by immigrants until Trump said so? Like, it's guys like this that just irritate me. Because at the end of the day, you are by far the most in danger from white people. White people are the ones that are going to break into your house at night. White people are the ones that are going to assault the females in your life. White people are definitely the ones that are going to do the mass shootings and stuff like that. That's white people. And pretending like the immigrants are ruining our country because they want to come here and pick strawberries. Because our government doesn't give us free health care, so they want to use the health care, and that's bad. You're just stupid. I mean, you're just fucking stupid. Anyway.
And here,
what the fuck?
responded, like, what am I missing? And so naturally, I wrote freaking essay about it, and it took 40 minutes to get 11K to 2K ratio on that. So here's some of my concerns. And right at the start, let's just be clear. I'm not saying that all Jews are in on some Jewish evil conspiracy to run the world.
Yes, they are.
That would be a straw man argument, and that's not what I'm claiming.
Yes, they
We're
are.
talking about Israel here. And these are just some of the
Okay,
most
but
obvious.
again, Israel is just a place. Israel is an idea. Israel is not a thing. So it's just like I say, just like when they say Hollywood used to be so racist, Hollywood used to be so sexist, Hollywood wasn't. The Jays that run the show were. And if you haven't watched Hollywoodism, you're missing out, man.
First off, that AIPAC has purchased the seats of like 90% of our Congress.
90%.
I made a whole thread with all my
90%.
sources, and in this case, I used a video that I made myself where I cited a whole bunch of sources about AIPAC and about JFK trying to get them to register as a foreign agent the months before he got shot, and then they never registered. Secondly, that Israel's obviously the state sponsor of Jeffrey Epstein. He was an Israeli operation through and through, from his handler being Ehud Barak, the
I think one of his handlers was Ehud Barak. Another one of his handlers was clearly Maxwell. Well, these are my favorite cartoons. Let's just pause for a second. So the wife can do the housework. This is interesting. I got to stop for this. These are my favorite cartoons. Look at the fat wife. And so this is what it's going to be like in the future. Look at the yellow credenza. Or whatever that thing is. Davenport. Or, I don't know. Look at the chairs. Look at the pink walls. You know, tan fucking floors. This is what houses used to look like. This is what it used to look like back in the day. Taco Vision.
I'm sorry, honey, but I won't be able to get home for dinner. I'm working on a big deal. I understand.
It has a dial.
Buy my pet.
Buy my pet. He just said, buy my pet.
It's my deal.
And they're smoking. Gotta love all the smoking. Smoking was everywhere.
For the fishermen, a solid glass boat has been designed to spot those.
Yeah. Just drip by. You'll be all right. Seriously. It'll just make it, you know. Then you can keep your panties on for a couple days.
Gross.
Bring this back up with you. My pet. Calls his wife my pet. Fucking crazy. Okay, let's see.
Leisure time created by labor-saving devices has caused a boom in our automobile industry.
Boy, that's fucking interesting.
Have to be built fast enough to accommodate the ever-increasing flow of traffic. These roads are also planned for cars of the most extreme design. Even a breakdown on the highway is no longer a problem.
Roadster, sedan. Oh, you could just pull a machine and your car will pop out? Oh, yeah. That's how that works. So just leave your old car there.
The once long, tiresome trip is now broken up by viewing the very latest movies on the way.
What?
There are also side roads to keep the kiddies amused.
Oh yeah, keep the kiddies amused on your roller coaster car. Look at the house in the background. How much drugs were these guys on back then? How much drugs were these guys on?
The problem is speeding. It's now taken care of without the driver losing any time from reaching his destination. Guilty or not guilty?
Oh.
But with all this motorized modernization, there is one old-fashioned road hazard that we still
The mother-in-law. Oh, the tolls. 25-cent toll. Gosh, I guess toll roads were super common back then, huh? You don't really hear about that, do you? What the hell?
We'll be right back with more cartoons.
Oh, that's the end of it. Okay. It just ended. Interesting.
Prime Minister of Israel, as well as the ex-head of Israeli
So
military.
let's go back a little bit.
The state sponsor of Jeffrey, about AIPAC, and about JFK trying to get them to register as a foreign agent the months before he got shot, and then they never registered. Secondly, that Israel's obviously the state sponsor of Jeffrey Epstein. He was an Israeli operation through and through, from his handler being Ehud Barak, the ex-prime minister of Israel, as well as the ex-head of Israeli military intelligence. His funding was from Les Wexner.
Yeah. Ooh.
One of the world's richest Zionist philanthropists.
Wexner.
And he was accused openly by ex-Mossad assets of being Mossad. And that's not to mention his connection to Robert Maxwell, one of the most infamous Mossad spies ever.
But let's just skip over that.
I used another one of my videos where I cited a whole bunch of evidence, and I'm just using them because they're
Let's just
fun
skip over
ways to
that.
consume a lot of primary sources and evidence very quickly. But in most of these cases, I've made tons of different videos, and there's tons of evidence out there about all these claims. These are not complex claims. I mean, in this case, the most obvious and direct source is just To Read One Nation Under Blackmail by Whitney Webb. I'm on my third read-through right now. Next, that Israel is the only nation who has a de facto sanction, but it's actually secret and unsanctioned nuclear program. And that's a program that they stole from the United States. Look into the Apollo affair, NUMEC, the Dimona nuclear facility. One great source, if you like video, is this NUMEC documentary produced by Ryan Dawson. It's available for free on Rumble. It's an amazing resource that is super, super diligent. Tons of primary sources in here.
Yeah, I'll go. It's good, but there's a lot of shit in here.
Christians live side by side in peace in Palestine before the Rothschilds.
That's not true. I mean, they did in some regards, but they only did because the Jays couldn't do anything else. They were trying. And the Haganah is exactly that. The Haganah is Israel before Israel existed. So the Haganah was doing all sorts of horrible war crimes, like Operation Cast Thy Bread, before the establishment of Israel. So this guy he's got a lot of information, but it's just like anybody, man. You know, just because they say good shit doesn't mean they're 100%. There's a reason why this video is allowed to exist and have all the views it does. You know, it has 4,300 likes. And you know, I mean, it's really kind of crazy, right?
Just the country from Great Britain during World War I. See the Balfour Declaration.
Now, funny thing. So wait.
Literally begins with the words.
So first of all, you got this dumbass who keeps saying shit like you. You know, no. Notice how I'm literally hearing what he's saying and acknowledging what he's talking about, and then talking about the things that I disagree with. Yeah, that's the big difference there. When you guys start doing that shit, then you can talk to me.
Dear Lord Rothschild.
And so even this, the Balfour Declaration. The Balfour Declaration is fake. The Balfour Declaration should be called the Rothschild Declaration, but they couldn't. If they would have called it the Rothschild Declaration, it would have been too obvious. So they just had this Balfour as a pseudonym, and it made it okay.
Like, how many families in this world have ever received a letter from the largest empire in the world, the British Empire, saying, "Dear family, we give you a country." When you dig into what they did to get this country, it's not great. And then when you learn about the history of the founding of Israel and the paramilitary groups that fought to found Israel, Lehi, Irgun, and Haganah, look them up.
Haganah, right?
Lehi and Irgun were declared terrorist organizations by Israel themselves after they were founded, because the whole internet.
Yeah, but Haganah was made into the IDF. And he doesn't say this, and I don't understand why he's not saying that. Right? There's another huge part in this. And it's you know, he's leaving out lots of shit that point you to the J connection, because he doesn't want there to be the J connection.
The national community was so pissed. You can source that straight off Wikipedia, but you can dig way deeper on it if you want to. Worth digging into how Lehi actually wanted to be allied with the Nazis because they thought it would be a more effective way to get Jews into Palestine. These guys were like bombing British civilians to make the British want to leave, not just bombing Palestinian civilians, both of which are war crimes. And then the leaders and founders of these terrorist organizations went on to be the prime ministers of Israel on multiple occasions for the next 30 years.
Yes.
You start to dig into the history of the previous prime ministers of Israel, and there's some super dark, violent people that ran this country. And that Israel's a foreign nation halfway across the world that has no business receiving my tax dollars. Why are we sending them billions of dollars of our money while our country is burning and overrun by illegal immigration and
overrun by illegal immigration? See, this is where I can't stand these white guy trumpets. These immigrants into this country bitching about immigrants. When was the last time you saw some doctors out of work because some Mexican doctors came and took their jobs? When was the last time you saw senators or any lawyers or anything like that out of work because the immigrants are coming and overrunning our country? They're just not. This is that white guy bullshit. I just can't stand it.
Just wait till you see how much our produce goes up when all the immigrants, because they're not picking our shit right now because ICE is trying to take them away. They're so terrified they won't show up to work, or they're just going home. So just wait, you entitled fucking white assholes.
All right, and that's all it is. It's just entitled white pieces of shit. Little white dudes with little dicks who probably lost their girl to a Mexican guy or something like that at some point. Or just to a person of color. And this is how they respond. We are not being overrun by immigration. If anything, the overrun by immigration is the Israelis. Because he's not going to bring up the visa waiver program. Right? The visa waiver program that they forced Israel into, even though they weren't meeting all the requirements necessary to be in the program. The United States forced them into the program September 30th. September 30th. 7 days later,
all these other problems.
The attack, the fake attack happened. The genocide began. And of course, this guy's not going to call out the fact that no Israelis died on October 7th. And no Israelis were taken hostage October 7th.
Go ask Grok how many billions of dollars we've sent to Israel. That's my money. Why are my tax dollars going to this other country? I don't want, what? Israelis have free healthcare and free education and shit. And we have homeless people on the streets, and no one can afford a fucking thing over here. What's going on? This one up here got cut off, but there was an entire Israeli surveillance program leading into 9/11 titled the DEA report. Is this whole government report about these Israeli art students that were entering government buildings all across the continental United States. I linked to the entire DEA report as well as specific snippets. It's a massive report. I've read it through the whole thing. And it's hundreds of instances of Israeli spies posing as art students trying to access government buildings all across the United States, clearly conducting surveillance operations on U.S. soil in the years 2000, and 2001. So our greatest ally, but they're spying on us right before 9/11. You know,
Notice how he also leaves out the Israeli spying device, the Israeli listening devices that were found triangulated around the White House. It was either like 16 or 17, not sure. Trump was in office. But they found 3 devices that were in positions around the White House that with their, triangulated, they could intercept any incoming and outgoing communication to and from the White House. And they were found to be Israeli, and then the story just disappeared.
way. And then, call it an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory all you want, but, there are FBI documents clearly showing.
Again, it's when you're stupid enough to use these words incorrectly, you're pushing their propaganda, whether you mean to or not. When you say anti-Semitic, you're playing into the fucking narrative. Anti-Semitic would be you opposing everything. Opposing the Egyptians, opposing the Palestinians, the Syrians, the Lebanese, Iran, all of those countries. All of those countries are Semitic. Semitic refers to all of the people in that region. By the way, if you're watching, like, share, and sub. Don't forget, it helps. Or, keep being a fucking J puppet. I don't give a shit.
That there were fake Israeli moving companies all across the Eastern Seaboard leading into 9/11, and that members of these moving companies were out photographing themselves with the view of the attack on the trade centers the day before the attack, flicking lighters at the towers. And then the day of the attack, they were in position up to an hour before, witnessed by multiple people, up to an hour before the attacks, in position to take photos and film of the attack. Never got any answers, and that is all documented in official FBI reports that you can read yourself.
Right. So again, as far as Semitism goes versus Semitic, Semitic is all of the people of the region. Semitism is policy or predisposition favorable to the Jays. Look up the definition of it. I will after we're done here. Actually, you know what? Before we continue here, just because I don't want to be accused of lying, because that's when you don't have any real arguments, you'll start going with shit like that. You're just lying. You're lying. All right, so here we go. So we'll go Semitism definition. Okay. Merriam-Webster. Number 1A, Semitic character or qualities. Again, Semitism, Merriam-Webster definition, all this shit, right? Oops. Number 1A, Semitic character or qualities. Number 1B, a Semitic characteristic feature of a Semitic language occurring in another language. Number 2, policy or predisposition favorable to Jays. I can't make that up. I mean, I could make it up, no doubt, but I'm not. It's right there. It's right there for anybody to go see it, to look it up, to understand what they're saying to you on a regular basis. So if you say, the idea that you would be anti-Semitism, meaning you are opposed to policy or predisposition favorable to Jays, that's just being normal. That's literally just, I don't think anybody deserves any policy or predisposition favor. If I said black people deserve policy or predisposition favorable to them, all of these commenters would be like, you can't say Black Lives Matter. All lives matter. Such a cowardly fucking argument.
I linked to the full FBI, all the documents, as well as to a 2.5-hour video of me breaking them down piece by piece. It's very clear when you read it that we never got any answers, but the investigation got squashed, the Israelis got deported, no answers whatsoever. And I'm not even saying that Israel necessarily did 9/11 at all. I don't know. All I know is that we have serious questions, and the silence is deafening. But it's right there in the reports. And I don't know if you benefited from us taking down Afghanistan and from us taking down Iraq, but I didn't. But I know that Israel did. And I know that they were writing things like the Clean Break Report leading into that era with people like Richard Pearl, all these neocons. And they were explicitly saying that in the coming decades, we need to take out Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, Iran. Like at this point, Iran is the only company on that list.
He's right.
Country on the list that was put out in the Clean Break Report that has not been overthrown by the U.S. empire on behalf of Israel.
And it's about to be.
In fact, my generation has been distinctly robbed of like life, of money, of our freedoms, of like our American way of life on behalf of going to the Middle East to fight wars for Israel that we have no business fighting with made up intelligence from Israel that we very well knew was fake at the time, like weapons of mass destruction. Those were Israeli intelligence reports fed to our CIA that fed them to our president and our security personnel. That's all not to mention just my obvious objections to the collective punishment, mass surveillance, forced starvation, bombing of refugee camps, brutal murdering of women and children that's been going on in Gaza and the West Bank for years, for decades, long before October 7th. And I'm not saying that I like promote the violence of October 7th.
See?
Like, I wish that we would have...
See, he's not going to call it out. October 7th was a total false flag. No Israelis died on October 7th, and no Israelis were taken hostage.
No violence. But this is a graph of the number of hostages held by Israel and the number of hostages held by Hamas as of 7/31/2024 from mainstream sources. Okay? This has been the state of affairs over there forever. My entire...
If I were to say white lives matter, you don't have to. See, this is just a little dick white guy. Again, the idea of saying black lives matter is not saying anything else. It's like saying that house is on fire. We should put it out. No, all houses should be put out. Yeah, but that one's on fire. No. Like, it's so dumb. You never had to say, to prove that white lives matter. If that's true, seriously, show me all of the videos of unarmed white men being shot by police. Because this is another one of those stupid things that white people just can't wrap their heads around. Black Lives Matter was the sole purpose of Black Lives Matter was to address the fact that black people were getting shot at an alarming rate. Unarmed black people were getting shot by police. It was the white media, it was the J media that turned it into this, shouldn't they be worried about community and sending children to school and blah, 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 blah. Oh, those guys made money off of it. How did they spend the money that they made on making their lives better? There is no need to say white lives matter because nobody questions that. But the fact that white people can't say black lives matter just shows you how racist we are. Nobody's saying only black lives matter, just black lives matter, anything like that. The only thing that's being said is it's like a statement like, hey, you seem to not know this, but black lives matter. And when they saw how insecure and how frail white people are regarding this subject, they made it into a big national thing. It's the same reason you know about Kanye West, right? When Kanye made those tweets, how many of you actually followed Kanye West? How many of you actually follow Kyrie Irving? Most of you don't. The only reason you knew about what Kanye West tweeted or said on Drunk Champs or whatever it was because the J media machine told you to care. The thing is, some of the things Kanye got in trouble for, he had said like a year earlier. And nobody knew about it and nobody cared because the J media machine didn't tell us to care. When George Floyd happened because they couldn't keep the COVID thing going during the summer. It was about to be summertime. The COVID thing was, people weren't going to be sick as much because it's summertime, and they were going to have a real hard time with just COVID running the show. So they needed their tried and true tested tactic of shooting unarmed black people or killing unarmed black people and making a big deal out of it. But when they looked and they saw that the protests were like 60% white, they freaked out and they were like, oh, we got to fix that. So let's do the Brooks and Blake situation where I can't remember which one's which, but I think it's Brooks was down in Atlanta at the Wendy's where he passes out in the drive-thru, and then the cops end up showing up, and he's actually a felon, a 1 or 2 strike felon. He's drunk. He doesn't have, everything he needs to have. So the cops were being super cool. And they're like, dude, I'm sorry, man. You gotta go. And he was like, no, please, let me go. I just live down the street. And they were like, sorry, man, you broke the law. We can't do this. So he escaped from it. He grabbed their taser and escaped and was running, and the cop shot him before he could, get to a civilian and shoot him with the fucking taser in the eyeball or whatever it may be. Jump in somebody else's car. And of course, the stupid black people got thrown into a frenzy, and they burned down the Wendy's. And then there was the other guy in like Minnesota or something like that, Blake, who was a black guy. The video you saw was like outside of a window, and say the thing was happening over by that black SUV. And that's sort of the view you get. And it shows that Blake is on the other side, the passenger side of the car. The cops have their guns out. They're pointed at him. They're going, dude, get on the ground. Get on the ground. He just walks around the front of the car. Cops have their guns pointed at him. Walks around the front of the car, opens the front door, and reaches in like he's going to grab something. He ends up getting shot 7 times in the back and survives somehow. But this is what they did.
Honest look at the
That's what they did to quell all the, because any person of any color, white, black, green, whatever, would see the Blake and the Brooks situation and be like, what the fuck? Stop running from cops when you're committing crimes, you motherfuckers. Like it totally killed the momentum of George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter shit. Now, George Floyd was a fucking, you can tell that was something wasn't right there. There's this one interview that stands out to me, and it's of one video, and it's a video of George Floyd with his daughter. And somebody asked him, what did you, are you proud of your daddy or something? Or maybe she wasn't, I'm not. But she was like, yeah, my daddy changed the world. This was before the whole thing happened, so.
lives of the Palestinians, it is very clear who is the oppressor and who is the oppressed. And if it's not clear to you, then you should really go to Rumble and watch this documentary called The Occupation of the American Mind. And it's all about how Israel realized partway through the 80s that if they did not develop a state-of-the-art propaganda campaign, they were going to lose the ideological war on the global stage, because Americans were super not down with the video footage that was coming back from the bombing of refugee camps in places like Sabra and Shatila, among many others. And if American support for Israel was ever pulled, Israel is completely fucked. And they knew that. And so they moved in the 80s from just a warfare campaign against the Palestinians to a propaganda campaign targeting Americans, because that is the most important thing for Israel to do. Hence, the entire American discourse about Israel today. Watch this documentary. It will clear it right up. And it is mostly Jewish people speaking in this documentary, okay? Let's be really clear here. This is not about the Jews. Most the dope Jewish people realize that Israel is the worst thing ever for, the Jewish faith. Because it makes it, if you equate Israel with Jewish...
And now he's just going to go off on some nonsense about how you can't blame the Jews. You can't blame them. Why not? Why not? Like, this is just insane to me. It's insane to me how well programmed we are. This guy is talking about Israel like Israel is a person. Israel is the driving force behind all of this. Israel did this. Israel did that. Israel didn't do anything because Israel is just I mean, there are people named Israel, unfortunately. One of those people got knocked the fuck out last night. Israel Adesanya. Knocked out last night. Too bad. God, I would be so embarrassed if that was my name. Can you imagine if your parents named you Israel? I would just be disgusted. Yeah, my parents named me Manson. You know. My parents named me Dahmer. Because, you know, they wanted great things of me. It's fucking gross, man. MVP is a beast. Yep. Yep. No. Fentanyl is quite fentanyl is them. Again, you believe fentanyl is manufactured in China and all that shit. And maybe it is. But the reason it's on our streets like it is because of the Israelis. It's really fucking simple. I love the fact that I matter so much to you guys that getting my attention is what like makes your day. Awesome. If that's supposed to make me feel bad, you're missing the mark there. You must be some dumb J. And when you understand how these dumb J's work, and you understand Team Jorge, which is a big deal, and of course that guy's not going to mention Team Jorge. That guy might not even know about Team Jorge. That just says everything, man. But this is a guy who's also, like, he's allowed to be. That video was allowed to reach all the people it did. My videos get shut down. I get all kinds of crazy views, but then my videos get shut down. Why? Well, nobody in my position saying what I say should get the views I get. And it's probably terrifying to the system that they keep seeing this. And you know, honestly, that guy, that video, that's a great start. That's where I started, you know. That mentality where, you know, you can't say it's the Jays. You're going to say it's Israel. It's a start. I have to give the credit where the credit's due. It's a start. Yup, jumps from topic to topic. I'm always jumping from topic to topic. That's me. I haven't literally been talking about the same thing for years now. Just coming up with different examples. But see, this is what's called ad hominem. So, in case you guys are new, let's go with ad hominem. So ad hominem is short for argumentum ad hominem, refers to several types of arguments that are usually fallacious. Often, currently, this system refers to a rhetorical strategy where the commenter, in this case, the commenter, attacks the character, motive, or some other attribute of the person making an argument, me, rather than the substance of the argument itself. This avoids genuine debate by creating a diversion, often using a totally irrelevant but highly charged attribute of the opponent's character or background. The most common form of this fallacy is person A, me, makes claims of fact, to which person B, the commenter, asserts that person A, me, has a personality trait, quality, or physical attribute that is repugnant, thereby going off topic, and hence, commenter B concludes that person A, me, has their facts wrong without ever addressing the point of the debate. A common misconception is that an ad hominem attack is synonymous with an insult, but it's not. You know, the fact is, every single argument that comes my way that doesn't address what I'm actually saying is saying, well, you're right about what you're saying. I can't argue what you're saying, but I don't like your haircut. You're crazy because you walk around. You're in your house. That's crazy. You know, the fact is, most of these are dumb J profiles, right? Most of these are just dumb J's. Well, we'll go on to the next proof. We'll jump over to Team Jorge. So, again, Team Jorge is the name given to an outfit of Israeli contractors specialized in the use of malign cyber activities, including hacking, sabotage, and bot farm-run social media disinformation campaigns to manipulate the outcomes of elections. Now, you'll say, oh, the outcomes of elections, blah, blah. Well, if they can manipulate the outcomes of elections, then fucking with some dude on YouTube is nothing. One of the organization's primary tools is a software package called Advanced Impact Media Solutions, or AIMS. The group was exposed in February 2023. After, isn't that funny? February 2023. It was only like what? 6 months later that the genocide began? 6 months prior to the genocide, they got exposed by an undercover, after an award-winning undercover operation by journalists from Israel and France as part of a consortium of investigative journalists coordinated by Forbidden Stories. The organization has been active since at least 2015 and boasts of having, which it's actually, the organization boasts of having been around for at least 2 decades. There's just only a paper trail that can be found leading back to 2015. And boasts of having manipulated 33 presidential elections worldwide. Don't worry, many of them are in Africa. And in 27 cases with successful results. Documentation goes back to 2015. You and I are consistently told that Russia interfered with the 2016 elections. Russia did it. They never show you any evidence. They never show you how Russia interfered with the election. And supposedly Russia interfered on Trump's behalf and Trump lost. Trump lost by 2.7 million votes. Like if you had $2.7 million, that would change your life. You know what I mean? Like 2.7 is a lot of anything. 2.7 million. And the J swamp, the swamp that he was going to drain that's full of J's, put him in anyway. And then blamed, oh, it was all Russia. It wasn't Israel, who's known for doing this. The thing is, too, this is just one black ops group. This is just one Israeli unlimitedly funded black ops group. And this wasn't even disbanded. This was just exposed. They just exposed them. They didn't destroy them, take them down. Israel has multiple groups like this, hundreds, thousands, who knows? But just this one group alone has, Tal Hanen boasts of having, in 2022, the report says 30,000. I read 40,000 in the news articles. Between 30 and 40,000 bot profiles at their disposal. And if you look at news stories about this whole bot farm shit, Facebook loves to brag that they eliminated hundreds of bot files out of the Philippines. A couple hundred bot farm profiles out of China or whatever. Now, a couple of hundred. This one Israeli group has 30 to 40,000 profiles back in 2022. Think about how crazy that is. Think about how fucking crazy that is. If I'm wrong, then why am I getting threatened? Oh, they're threatening me. But I'm wrong, right? I'm literally only reading you what we're supposed to know. Everything I say is factual. 100% factual. There's no opinions on my side. Everything I say is factual. Their activities were revealed following a 2022 sting operation in Tel Aviv carried out by three undercover journalists who posed as prospective clients and filmed their interactions with Tal Hanen, the group's leader and former Israeli Special Forces operative. The fact that it's called Team Jorge to begin with shows you that it's all about misdirection. If I said somebody's name was Jorge, how many guesses do you think it would take before you got to Israeli? Wouldn't that be like one of your farthest, like, I don't know, Israel? Like, wouldn't it, you would never think, you would immediately go through South American, Latino, Spanish. You'd go with that route 100% of the time. Nobody's ever going to guess Israel within the first 3, 5, 10 guesses. Never. And again, if I'm wrong, how come nobody's telling me what I'm wrong about? Look at all these comments. Literally, somebody's stupid enough to say no one cares while they're here watching me say it. I need to get some help. I'm bad. I'm wrong. I'm literally reading to you what they want us to know. How does this make me wrong? You understand that this is Team Jorge. These idiots on my feed in these comments, these are the dumb Jays. They're not smart. They don't run the show because they're smarter than us. They run the show because they're more devious than us. Because they're the ones willing to starve people, to kill children. There are shirts. The soldiers were seen wearing shirts with a silhouette of a pregnant woman and a scope, the crosshairs of a scope over the pregnant woman's belly, and a slogan that said 2 for 1 at the top. These are the shirts that these idiots wear. Look, we got a bunch of people flying the pedo flag. Anybody that wants to fly that flag, that's a pedo flag. That's acknowledging that you like fucking with children. If you fly that flag, you like fucking with children. You like raping children. You believe in killing innocent people, women, children, men. You are a piece of shit. Tal Hanen, also known by his codename Jorge, is an Israeli businessman and former Special Forces operator who has been involved in disinformation campaigns in order to manipulate elections in several countries. Hanen's organization, Team Jorge, has, for instance, attempted to influence the 2015 Nigerian general election in collaboration with Cambridge Analytica. Again, so are you dumb enough to think that Israel is trying to influence all these other small little African country elections, but not the United States? I mean, again, look at the comments. How come the proud Israelis, the proud Jays, aren't coming through and being like, hey man, you're wrong about this, and we're good because of this, and all this other shit? How come the only thing they can do is fly the pedo flag or talk shit? How come none of them can stand up for what they believe in any sort of proud, intelligent way? It's probably because nothing I'm saying is wrong. The group operate a software called AIMS for creating fake online accounts on social media networks and using them to spread fake news. Tal Hainan's organized operation was the subject of an undercover investigation conducted by journalists from The Maker, Radio France, and Haaretz in Israel, working together with journalism organizations Forbidden Stories. It was then reported in The Guardian, Le Monde, Haaretz, Der Spiegel, and others in February 2023, but Hainan has denied any wrongdoing. He was just doing what he was told. He was just doing what he was told. So let's see, does Ames actually have a page now? Ames, according to Tal Hainan, oh yeah, see, it's going to take me back. It takes me back to Team Jorge. So it's just one of these little loops. You know, everything you click on will just take you back and forth. I click on Ames to find out more information about Ames, and it takes me there. Troll farm. A troll farm or troll factory is an institutionalized group of internet trolls that seeks to interfere in political opinions and decision making. Freedom House's report showed that 30 governments worldwide, out of the 65 covered by the study, paid keyboard armies to spread propaganda and attack critics. Do you see this? Attacking critics. Gee, that's weird. Again, why not come at me with any sort of intelligence? Why not come at me with anything other than, you know, this crybaby pussy coward shit? I mean, it seems pretty obvious to me. According to the report, these governments use paid commenters, trolls, and other bots to harass journalists and erode trust in the media. Attempts were made to influence elections in 18 of the countries covered in the study. This is funny. So, when you look up troll farm and then you look up governments that do it, Brazil, China, India, Malaysia, Nicaragua, Philippines, Russia, Turkey, Vietnam, and Ukraine. Huh. And when you look at how the response of it, right? Let's see if I can't find. I'm trying to find the part where it talks about how Facebook's response to it all. Well, I don't know where that is. This one talks about how in Brazil, it has widely been suspected that Brazil's former president, Jair Bolsonaro, and his family created troll farms to promote support for his government policies and to attack and harass rivals through the internet. These fake accounts and bots are possibly controlled by an office inside one of Bolsonaro's government buildings led by Jair's son, Carlos, known as the Office of Hate. But each one of these reports, they'll talk about how, like, they might have a few hundred, maybe even a couple thousand different bot farms at their disposal. And again, Facebook was patting itself on the back for what they did in response to it and how they shut down hundreds of profiles in Philippines, hundreds in China, hundreds in Brazil, whatever it is. Team Jorge, just Team Jorge, not Israel, just Team Jorge has 30,000 on record. 30,000 to 40,000, but 30, we'll say at the very least, 30,000 profiles on record that Facebook doesn't give a shit about. This is just insane, right? This is insane. God, I wish there were people on here smart enough to actually have a conversation. Like, and it sucks because I might miss a few of the comments that actually do try, because there's just so much crybaby bullshit, so much cowardly bullshit. The nonsense you spew, yep, I'm spewing nonsense. Look at how I'm spewing nonsense. How do you even say that? I'm literally reading to you what the Jays want us to know. And yet somehow this is me spewing nonsense. Think about how incredible that is. Think about how desperate somebody has to be. You know, it's wild. It's wild. And then, so, Wiki's the source. Yeah. Well, there's lots of articles to talk about Team Jorge. If you'd rather go with news articles, we can do that. But Wiki puts it all in a nice thing. And Wiki is government run. Wiki is the system, is the source of information that they want us to have. When kids do their book reports and shit like that, they go to Wiki, not, you know, and they don't get the teacher, oh, you get this from Wiki, that's conspiracy. No. Most of the Wiki pages are completely blocked. Like, let's look up Samson option, right? Samson option page is locked. Can't no one do nothing with that. The Samson option is Israel's deterrent strategy of massive retaliation with nuclear weapons as a last resort against a country whose military has invaded and or destroyed much of Israel. Really important wording there. They could easily say that if I decided to go to Israel and protest, and I had a group of people, 20 people, they could easily say, well, the U.S. has invaded in Israel. It's time for a retaliation. It doesn't have to be destroyed. Who the hell cares? Well, shouldn't you dumb white people care? Your tax dollars are being sent in alarming numbers to a foreign agency full of brown people. Yeah. Like, you should absolutely care. You probably don't drive because you probably can't afford a car. But if you're ever, like, just go outside and look at the roads. You know, the roads are so bad, we can't afford to fix them. If you go on YouTube, there are endless, like, civilians out there hunting down pedos. All you have to do is literally just start a page and pretend to be a kid, and you'll be able to hunt people down really easily. And yet our government doesn't do it because we just can't afford it. We have homeless veterans all over the place. People who, quote, serve their country, who got some mental fucking damage from it and are now homeless, living in fucking ice cold conditions. But hey, we can give Israel $3.8 billion a year. I never understand, like, where you stupid ass, fucking arrogant, racist white people, why you're so quiet about this. Just lit it. Been out for a while. Just think about how crazy that shit is. Oh, this guy's going to bring up some Romans bullshit. Who gives a shit about the Bible they give us? Even though I'm supposed to be reading the Bible, and I will do my Bible reading today. We will get there. For I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for salvation to everyone who believes. To the J first, and also the Greek. Right. Why would the J be first? How have you been so programmed that you believe the bad guys in your Bible, you want to quote the Bible, Satan is not the bad guy in the Bible. Abraham basically is. Abraham and Abraham's people. You believe that Abraham, his people, the chosen, the people that killed Jesus, Christian God's only son and your superhero, the people that killed his kid, its kid, are its favorite people. Not all of you people that give your money every week and worship the Christ and the, because I know if I was God and I came back and I saw all you fucking idiots with your crosses and shit, I'd be like, oh, yeah, they must really support me. Here, I got to send you this picture I found, chubby girl. Somebody had this posted on their page. Let me see your phone.
Trying to watch a video.
It'll come up on your thing. It's not. You don't have to go anywhere.
Go out of the reels.
Oh, well then keep watching, I guess. It's a picture of a cross with a thorny crown and like 3 spikes are on it. Like, why would Jesus ever think, oh man, that person really likes me?
So the whole thing is, and it kills me about Christians,
That they rape children?
it's sacrilegious to wear a crucifix. A crucifix is different than a cross. A crucifix has the depiction of Jesus hanging on it, on the cross.
Gross.
And that's actually sacrilegious. That's celebrating Jesus dying.
You'd think.
So it is, like, if you talk to like higher up Christians that are in the clergy or whatever, it is technically sacrilegious. You should be wearing a cross without Jesus to celebrate his resurrection.
Which is stupid because that's not how that worked anyway.
So whenever I see,
It's not like he was resurrected on the cross.
I always laugh because
Shouldn't it be like a boulder?
Christians look at the crucifix. Oh, that's so. No, you guys are.
You see the crucifix too, like sometimes it'll have like blood. He'll have blood all over him and shit. And you're like, oh.
Now you're memorializing and honoring his death when you should be honoring his rebirth and his resurrection, which is the empty cross, him rising. So
Again, makes no sense. It should be a
that
boulder.
they don't know their own fucking shit kills me.
Of course they don't. And you see this every single time I ask somebody what the very first thing your God does. What's the very first thing your God does? After it turns on the light, because it's not like it doesn't create the sun and moon until day 4. So I don't even know how you would have days without the sun and moon, other than actually time is a unit of measure, like a ruler, like inches and shit. Time, 1 second is 1 inch. 12 inches is 1 foot. 60 minutes is 1 hour. So I guess after 24-hour periods is what they're talking about with God. But after your God, turns on the light, what's your God do? Your God creates the indestructible, all-purpose firmament that nobody can get through, and that it's like you don't know what it says. You would think Christians would be all over the quote flat Earth argument, which I hate that. I hate that phrase, flat Earth. But you would think they would be all over that shit. That's why I stayed away from it for so many years. Because I didn't want the Christians to have the leg up. Christianity has been telling you that you live on a fucking flat, non-moving surface with a dome over it the entire time. Which, at the same time, should make you question, how did Christianity just change its mind? What argument was presented to the Christians, to the hierarchy, back in the communication, everything. Back at some point when the church decided that, oh no, I guess it's not a heliocentric, the earth is the center of the universe and God made the firmament and all that shit. I guess it's not that. It's actually these balls flying through space. What was presented to the church to make that happen? That seems like you would have to, can you imagine trying to go to the church and convince them that anything was wrong in the Bible? Can you imagine going to the church and being like, well, I know the Bible says this, but it's actually this. And the church being like, yeah, okay. That won't happen in any regard. It's just crazy. It's all just so crazy to think about how we are being, manipulated, and our society and the best of us is taken away from us. Like I can't help but feel like we as society are there's something in our lives that's being affected. We might not realize it. But the idea that 200,000 people have been killed in the last fucking year, that has to affect us on some level. If we are this organism on the ground, and lots of things talk about how we're all connected and all that other shit. The killing of over 200,000 of us should really be affecting us. What?
And they're like railroad spikes.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? The Bible was presented to the church to make that happen. Yeah. See, this is where the whole you are on a much lower level than me thing comes from. Because I am a history buff. I know all kinds of shit. I love looking shit up. I love learning.
Crazy.
And what's painfully obvious is that it's all bullshit. It really is just all bullshit. So when you start thinking about this whole notion of the King James Bible commissioned in 1611, put together with all of the sources, how the fuck did they even do it? How did they get all the different biblical sources and copies and all that? And they sat there and they poured over all the different, they got all these different ones from all these different places in the world. And they went through and they picked out which things they were going to like and which things they were going to get rid of. And blah. No, come on. It's all just fake bullshit. It's really hard, too, because, it's like we're just, you want me to argue about the legitimacy of Santa Claus. And I'm just not interested in that at all, At this point, it's gotten to, as soon as we start talking about, any of it, really. The historical record is clearly manufactured. And the proof is in the buildings. The proof is in all the structures and everything that we were supposedly capable of building generations beforehand that we can't do today. You go ahead and you tell me how they built that star fort off of Florida, off the Florida Keys. All these star forts all over the world, built by people who didn't have any sort of connection to each other, any communication with each other, and yet they're still building the same structures. But the star fort off of the Florida, how? There are lots of these things, these castles and shit. A castle built in the middle of a lake, on the top of a mountain. I mean, do you understand how utterly ridiculous that is? You know, there are so many of these things that someone was capable of building. Go look at Budapest. Go look in India. All the fucking buildings that they have, where the stone ball is housed in the thing, and it can move up and down. It's all stone. It's all one piece. How the fuck did they do that? You know, my lunch break does a really good job showing about, you know, breaking down the narrative that we've been given, and just showing you how manufactured it all really is. Every single one of these buildings has the Great Fire story. Every one of these buildings was built in 2-3 years. You know, it's all just bullshit. The only issue I have with my lunch break is his unwillingness to call out who's behind it. And that's probably because he doesn't want to fuck up his page. But I also guarantee if my lunch break came here, he'd be like, what the fuck is with these comments? I know lots and lots of conspiracy people, truther people, and none of them get what I get. None of them. And you have to ask what it's about. I mean, you can't just look at it and be like, well, that's sort of unique and crazy, but hey, just because all these people who supposedly hate you come to your feed every single day for hours at a time so they can talk shit about whatever they want to talk about, not what you're talking about, there's nothing to that. That's just normal. It's not normal. If it was normal, people would say that. But it's clearly not normal. Clearly not normal. And it's really only explainable by the J thing. The J interaction. Because it's the thing that separates me from everyone else. You know, a lot of us talk about similar things, like my lunch break, talking about similar things, but he doesn't go as far as I do. And I've been doing this for years. I mean, the craziest part, I said this to Charles the other day. You know, I've been telling him for years, we don't need to adjust our music to fit the narrative. The narrative has adjusted to fit our music. If you go look at our catalog of songs 10 fucking years old plus, you're going to think we wrote all this shit in the last year or two. And that's how I designed it. There's a reason why very few songs actually mention current events by name. Because I wanted people to be able to look back at any time and still have the songs be relevant. And that's literally what you're seeing. I mean, I wrote the Samson option in 2017. Maybe 16 before I looked it up and shit. I heard about it through Ken O'Keefe, who is absolutely a Mossad agent, a fucking troll. The Ken O'Keefe we get. I'm schizophrenic. Yep. Isn't that an easier way to do it, right? Instead of actually addressing what I'm saying and the reality of all the truth that I'm reading you, just say I'm crazy. Oh, he's crazy. Maybe all you, because, you know, you dumb Jays can't actually argue anything I'm saying. So your hope is that you can convince anybody watching me that I'm crazy. And I encourage you, like, think about it. The people that are watching me, Look at how much effort and energy goes into me every single day, even though I'm wrong and I'm crazy. Every single day, these guys have alarms set. They come here and they watch me for hours talking shit, but not addressing anything being said. I flat out call them all pedos. You know? The majority of these people are J pedos. And instead of denying it or showing that, they just keep going, they just keep proving the point. Have you ever seen anything like this before? Anybody new to the page, have you ever seen a page where there are just this many bot profiles talking all this shit and they don't even say why they're here? Why are you here? What is your reason for being here? What did I do that has you so upset, so offended? You're going to look back on your life and you're going to see me. What is warranting that? And it was yesterday. Will be tomorrow. I mean, think about it. These people are here. They could be doing anything else in the world. Like, I get it. If you agree with me, and you're like thankful you found this refreshing page of somebody actually saying the truth for a change, I get it. But if you supposedly hate me and you don't like me and blah, 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 and you're still here every single day, making my feed what it is, like, how does that even make sense? Who does that make sense to? Oh, this dude's acknowledging that he's at work. He's at work. What a fantastic employee he must be. He sits around watching YouTube all day. Must have a really important job. And look at, they clearly, when they say shit like that, that's showing that they can acknowledge what I'm saying. He's directly responding to what I'm saying. So how come he doesn't respond to direct questions or any of the Israel stuff or any of the J's? How come he doesn't respond to that? Why does he then start talking about made up fantasy nonsense? Can I hit that, please? I know, but you don't realize it when you sit there. Okay, you don't. You're right. Look at all this ad hominem bullshit. Why are you even here? If you don't like me, why do you spend so much of your life on me? It's funny to watch somebody talk about genocide and pedophilia and shit like that. If that's your idea of comedy, again, that says a lot more about you than it does me. And I give you guys everything. I give you every opportunity to prove me wrong. You know what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. You know, I've given you all the links and all the fucking, all the sources, all the everything. Go educate yourself and then come at me with better arguments. I've been begging you to do that. And yet, it just doesn't happen. Why do you think that is? Why do you think nobody comes here to defend Israel? You do see a lot of fucking J and Israeli support, no doubt. But their support is just stupidity. Posting the pedo flag and shit. Where is this, where's the opposition? Yep, my schizophrenic, again, showing just how stupid you are. Like, you would think, I've already shown you guys that you sound stupid. You should come up with a different thing. But it also shows you how disgusting people are. People talking about, mental illness like it's a joke. You're too stupid. Like, I'm not saying that you have a mental illness or anything like that. I'm just flat out calling you stupid. You're too stupid to actually argue or debate me on anything, so you just start doing what you do. That's not schizophrenia. That's not delusion. That's just plain stupidity. And it's what you would expect. You know, especially if you're not a J. If you're not a J and you're defending this nonsense, you have some real fucking issues. The fact is, we know Hollywood is full of J's. J's control Hollywood, you know, Hollywood, California, all that. They have the most lax laws about, you know, pedo stuff and busting pedos and all that. The J's who make those laws, we know all these things. And yet, that doesn't concern you? That doesn't bother you? He showed his psychological papers a few weeks ago. He is a schizophrenic. I showed my own paperwork saying I was a schizophrenic. Like, seriously, if you're that desperate that you're going to say shit that's easily proven wrong, I just don't know what you're, like, that shows you.
Paperwork. Didn't I have that?
You would think. But again, am I sitting here talking to voices in my head? Do I think that there are people outside my house? Do I have multiple personalities and shit like that? No. No, I read a lot. And I read you guys the narrative that we're supposed to know. I talk bad about the Jays. Think about how nuts that is. They literally know nothing else about me. Nothing. And yet, because I talk bad about the Jays, apparently, all these people, whether they're at work, whether they're at home, they have no, you know, if they have family or people that love them, I doubt it, but they ignore everyone around them. Also, they can watch me because I'm schizophrenic and crazy. Are you so you're the type of people that go around your town, look for the crazy people outside and just watch them standing on the corner? Is that entertaining for you? Like, let's just say I had mental illness and you found that entertaining. Does that say more about me or you? I like watching people with disabilities. You know, you're probably one of those people who,
Is this?
you know, when you see the videos of the kid with Down syndrome lifting weights, you share it with all your buddies. Aha, look at this guy. Aha. It's just nuts, man. It's just nuts. It shows you, again, all this shit does is show you guys just how correct I am. How awesome I am. I have all these hanger-ons that wish they could find something wrong. And they, like I say, they clearly acknowledge that they do hear what I'm saying. And they respond to certain things. But other things like, why are you here in the first place? They don't know. They don't know. Yeah. I've proved you wrong before. Here we go. I've proven you're a ground versus high altitude wind speed. Oh, yeah, because I think the wind speed at the ground is the same speed as at up above. Yup. You proved me wrong about that. I was like, man, all the wind is all the same. How stupid do you have to be? You think I'm sitting here arguing with people about wind speed? I'm talking about genocide and pedo stuff and killing these disgusting people and stopping all this slavery and all this. No, we're talking about wind speed. You said the wind was the same speed at down below as it is up above. God. And people wonder why I ignore the comments. Look at how stupid these people are. Just fucking straight out stupid. Yep, I'm deflecting. Yep, I'm deflecting by directly addressing what's being said. Look at how I deflect. Oh my God. It's embarrassing. Like, God, I wish I had, I wish I could say, yeah, and I warrant the smartest people in the world coming trying to debunk me. I wish I could say that. I wish there was some sort of challenge here. I wish somebody would bring up shit and I look it up and oh man, I guess I was wrong about that. Never happens. Never fucking happens. And you have to wonder what it's about, guys. What's it all about? Why do so many people support or I mean, you are supporting, whether you realize it or not, you are supporting the genocidal slave masters. But, you're dumb. I don't know what else. Yeah. We're doing fluoride. Okay. So at this point, I guess we are going to jump over to our Bible reading portion. I mean, again, I could just sit here all day roasting these fucking idiots on here, but what's the point? You guys see it for what it is. These are cowards. These are just cowardly, child molesting, genocide supporting, penis cutting and sucking, placenta eating, women vagina hating pieces of shit. And it's time for us to overthrow them and live the lives we should be living. Right? We should be living much better lives, not controlled by these unbelievable monsters. So we're going to continue with our Bible reading. So come on back if you want to. You want to learn how you're being deceived. That's why we're doing it. I don't necessarily want to, but it is what it is. So go get your free download. Put the link to the free download in the description. I put the link to Hollywoodism, which is easily the most important video you can watch. You just have to watch it skeptically. You can't watch it all entertained. And I'm going to put a link to one of our songs on the Facebook page so you can go to our Facebook account. So, we are better than this. Team Goyim is better than this. Team Goyim will succeed. So, hopefully you join me. And of course, as always, all of you pedophiles, kill yourself.